Hello and welcome back to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5, Stylized Environment and Third-Person Blueprint course. In this section of the course, we're gonna start doing our game mechanics, and before that, we should analyze our system a little bit and have a fresh up on the variable types and the nodes that we are gonna use. So, let's begin with our variables. The variables we're gonna be using are of the type enumeration, which is basically a list that cannot change in runtime, and it helps us specify some actions based on lists. Basically, it's an integer to a string correlation, like since lists have listings like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we assign a word to each listing. Anyway, the second variable type we're going to be using are booleans, which true or false statements, basically 0, 1 variable types. They can be 0 or 1. So true or false statements, I think, sums it up. The next variables are going to be some math variables, are going to be of integers and floats. Basically, the float can take a decimal point, the integer is a whole number, and the next ones are going to be of name variable and text variable and string variable, which are our variables for using for text. Basically, strings can also get numbers. Strings can be anything that we can type basically on the keyboard. Name and text have some specific rules on their own. Basically, a rule of thumb would be anything that the user sees should be on a text variable, not always followed, but it doesn't matter, because it makes easier with optimization of localization. Sorry, I was trying to think of the word localization. Yeah, because of the systems Unreal have, texts are much better for creating a localization system. And lastly, we're going to use some of these variables also on an array type of variable, which is basically, again, a list that we can populate and depopulate and manipulate during runtime. So that would be it for variables. Now, from our nodes, let's begin with our nodes. Of course, we're going to use the begin event play, the event tick, which they come with blueprints. The begin event play is the begin play event, is the event that triggers when an actor is summoned, or if it's already on the scene, the game begins. So when the game starts running, if any actor is already on the scene, we'll run the begin play, and if we are spawning the actor, then the begin play will run the moment the actor spawns. Event tick basically is like update on other systems, is something that runs per frame. Now, from other nodes, we're going to use the basic branch node that is an if statement. It has a condition, and true or false, usually correcting a boolean here, or some mathematical expression that you are checking if it's true or false again, or some other things, greater or equal or less. Anyway, it's a statement, it's an if statement with a condition. That's it. Well, all if statements have a condition. Anyway, we're going to be using a for loop for each loop. There is a for loop also, which is the difference is for each loop has an array as an input here. So if I connect any type of variable array, it will give us the element and the index, and for each element the array will run. For loop, we have to specify how many times it will run with the first index and last index. And after the for loops, of course, we're going to be using a do once node, which means that the executable, when it passes through here, this will lock and it won't pass again until we call a reset. It can start also closed. It has many uses. Now, Other nodes that we're going to be using is get all actors of class, which finds all actors on that are loaded on our scene. And between these actors, we can specify the class, and it filters out from all the actors that exist the ones that we want. It's not a very optimal node and gives us an array, a listing of them. The next node we're going to be using is a spawn actor node that spawns a class that we have created, a blueprint, and brings it to our scene. We have to give it a transform. A transform is three variables combined. Transform is location, rotation, and scale. Usually we're using the world's location, and we give a rotation and scale that we want. Lastly, but next one would be the possess variable, the possess node, not variable, sorry. The possess node gives us control an actor if it's possessable, a pawn basically. Pawns are actors that inherit from actor. Now this is a little bit deeper. If we go to blueprints and create, you can see there is some detailed explanation, and as you can see, character is type of a pawn, so this means the possess could work also on pawn. It's a little bit confusing. You need to have some knowledge of classes. One of the nodes that we're going to be using basically only once in this demonstration, in this course, would be the possess node, which is a node that tells the player controller which target pawn to possess. It could possess a character or a pawn, either way. Basically, it gives control to a character or pawn class blueprint. The next node that we're going to be using actually a lot is a custom event. A custom event is an event that we are creating, and we can call it and trigger it whenever we want. Next one is not basically a node. It's we're going to be using the setting, actually, the character from the character movement component of our pawn, of our third-person blueprint, when to use orient rotation to movement or use controller design rotation. This is basically use the mouse to turn and use your WASD to turn your character. And one more node that we're going to be using, basically for the same system. It's going to be for when we are possessing and not possessing, sorry, when we are changing cameras. The way that we're going to be changing cameras is set view target with blend, a node that you can call. It needs some inputs and outputs that we're going to show, and it blends the change between the current camera and the next one that we're going to be using. Now, another node that we're going to be using, and it's going to be used a lot, is the switch node, which can be switch on an enumeration, as we said, which is a listing on the beginning. This cannot connect here because it has to be a switch for the listing, like call a switch here, and it autofills the selections. But it can be used with integers also, or strings, but you have to fill your own cases. So like here you could fill some cases that would be, let's say, non1, non2. So if the string that came through here, it would change based on this. And here you just add pins on the string. Anyway, there's a lot of switch nodes. They can switch on based on many different things. Very useful node, a nice way to make things more clear and optimal. Next one, we're going to be using the begin overlap and the end overlap events. They are being called from a box collision, usually, or any other shape of collision. And you can call many things collision events. Even static meshes themselves have some collision events to trigger. So basically, we're going to be using collision events and or begin, overlap, and Then we're going to be using some questions. We're going to be using tags on components, like when we have a blueprint and there is certain components that you have added. Let's say you have added a static mesh, you have added a collision. You can add some tags to the components and check when you're colliding with something if the component has a tag. The next questions we're going to be asking with collisions are does it implement interface? Now, interfaces, there are certain type of blueprint. Let's go to content, create one for example. So if we go to right click and go to blueprints and go to interface, there are a way of blueprints to communicate. Next one would be, we have an enumeration here, maybe left from not tidying up. Anyway, we have the get game mode, which is what is a game mode? Basically, it's some set of rules that we have set on our map to happen, and it's a class on its own. And what is a class? Well, it's a small program. It's a type of program. You would consider it as a template for a set of variables and a set of actions, basically. And that would define it as a program. Anyway, so we're gonna get learn how to get our game mode and check if it's our own game mode, and then we're gonna be using timelines, which is basically based on some time do these actions, and we are setting internally some things. It has some inputs for us as play from start, stop, refresh, reverse, set new time. We're going to be using some of them. It also gives us a finished when the time that we have set finishes. Now, with the timeline, we're going to be using usually a set world rotation or set world location for a component, or just set rotation, set location for an actor. It's a set actor location and set world location. The one is for the whole actor. The set world is, it's a sync component, but it means any component of the blueprint. The next nodes we're going to be using, probably with this also, are going to be the get world location, get actor location, which is again the same difference. The one is for a component, the other one is for the whole actor. We're going to be using the find look at rotation, which is a node that with two locations and gives us a look towards rotation, and it returns a value of rotator that it can be split as all variables that are structured, like a vector is a 3 float variable type, also is a rotator, a 3 float variable type. Anyway, we're going to be using the get component bounds, which is a node that if we have a box and we want to know how big it is, it basically gives us a rough size, and it also does it in static meshes based on their collision settings. Now, the next nodes that we're going to be using are for Niagara particles. We're going to use the set Niagara system active, which is a node that you're using when you have a particle on your blueprint that you don't spawn, but you want to activate it on a specific time, because you could also spawn it. There is no difference, but this is also another way to do it. Now, for the widgets, we're just going to be using a simple set visibility and I'm sorry, before we go to the widgets, we're going to be using also particle systems, which is the old cascade system compared to Niagara, it's old system, and it has the same node that you activate the particle. Now, on our widgets, we're going to be using a set visibility node that you can connect plenty of things here, not just the whole widget, but components of the widget as well, and toggle their visibility. Not toggle, but set it on whatever you want. A toggle node is flip-flop. And we're going to be using set text on some of our text variables that we're going to be using on our widgets. And this is the node that you're using. You connect here the target variable and the text that you want to change. Now, about our system, I'm going to be using Paint. I'm going to create something that I call drawing and art through the whole course. I'm calling it that. You can have your opinions. I'm going to be calling it like this. So let's create some art now. So our system basically will have our game mode that will have our rules. It will be hosting our widgets. So our widgets will be stored on our game mode. So this means that when we are changing map, we're not going to be changing maps, but if we were going to be changing maps, all this would get deleted because this would be recreated. Now this has to do with the hierarchy of how things work in Unreal. And anyway, that's a nice info about it. From the game mode, we're going to be spawning our character. This one says spawn character clearly. Here you can see it. Spawn character. And then we're going to have some nice items on the map. It's going to be pickable items. So our character is going to go near them, and based on a collision, he's going to detect if an item is around him or not. Then the item will have its own behavior. This is behavior. And it will contact the game mode that will be also hosting the inventory system. This is inventory system, amazingly. It reminds the Predator language. Anyway, so our game mode will be hosting the inventory. What that means, basically, right now we will have an inventory of one item, but the information of the item and if we are holding an item will be inside our game mode, not inside our character. There is plenty of places to host all these things. Like you could actually have a blueprint on its own that's hosting the inventory system. But we're going to use the game mode. Basically, that will be it. We will have also a quest system that it's going to be again of collision cube. This is a cube. Accept it. Just take the hit, as they say. This is a cube, and when our player is gonna enter that cube, it's gonna start showing some messages based on our quest system state. Our quest system state will be explained at the moment we are doing it. So basically that will be it. Now there's going to be a few more things, but we're going to be explaining them as we go on. So that's it for this one. I'm going to see you on the next one.